Hey guys, another insight slash realization that I had today, and I think this is one of the most important things that I've realized this week. These things just keep coming to me. Like it's just I don't know what I should call this. Should I call this realizations, insights? I don't know. You guys let me know. But basically, it's like gems. It's almost like gems. Whenever you find them, you go, "Oh, cool. Okay, I realized something new about the way that the world works, the way that like things are connected." That's kind of like the theme of this whole like channel. It's like basically connecting ideas, connecting insights, and really kind of coming up with things that no one else is talking about, like that are based on my personal like evidence, based on my personal experience, and based on this what came to my mind, based on like how I like to think and process things. So let's get into it. So today I realized, okay, what is one thing that like kind of stops people from like achieving their success? That could be like success with maybe like a business partner, maybe it's a relationship success. Maybe it's like a business success, like in terms of launching a successful product, successful company, or maybe it's just like romantic relationships or just fitness, right? So there's just a lot of the way I look at it is like each one of these is like an obstacle, a challenge, because I believe that by default the universe is closed. Like this is another thing that I learned from a book. The book is called The Value of Others. What I've learned is that like from the book is that well by default I've already known this, but it's just explaining the same concept in different words. So for example, in entropy we're like taught that like well by default stuff is just like super chaotic, and then the whole process is just to make things more organized. Because by default, for example, if this is just one way of thinking about it, right? Like I have this table that I'm sitting at, and this table is like a useful utility because things are polished. I can keep my laptop on it. But in the universe, it's just literally like on a tree trunk, right? Or the wood can just be chopped and just be left somewhere. But that's not like in its most organized state. As in, like we took something, we took like a block of wood or we took materials, and made something useful out of it, and we put it into like a better state. So that required energy, right? That wasn't free. Same thing in the world. I feel like whenever like you try to go ask someone for $20, they're gonna say no. And the way that we do this in the world where we get other people to give us money is through creating a business. Because if I just went out on the street and if I asked, for example, all the customers, literally asked all the customers that my SaaS company has, probably like about, well, let's just say I asked like 1,000 people to pay money, they're gonna be like, no, I'm not paying you like $10. I'm not even paying you $1. But the whole process was that I created a product. I created a like a service around it, and then that is what people paid me for. So that took energy to get to that because by default the universe was in a state of like it was in a closed state. So which means that I was getting a lot of no's. Now the same thing I feel like happens with like people in relationships where for example, this had to be like just romantic relationships, but like business partners with like really good friends. What happens is that a lot of people like run away from like as soon as they encounter the first thing that is like maybe a rejection or an obstacle from someone. For example, let's just say you're working with someone, and then like you know that person maybe like for months, and all of a sudden that person maybe shows them like a certain side of themselves that you're like not happy with, or they don't work to resolve out conflicts, or they do something that makes you maybe feel hurt, feel discouraged. So that's an example of like a block that just came your way, and your goal was to go further, deeper into the relationship. And the whole process of going deeper is basically some of it is like internal, like you're self analyzing and you're going, hey, I get to learn more about myself. But the other aspect of it is like just materialistically speaking, you have a better, like physically speaking, like objectively speaking, you have a better, more mature relationship where you're operating at a higher degree. For example, you're not example would be on the surface level you're working with each other because that person comes from a impressive background, that person comes with money, or like that girl is like good looking, so you're just like working with her, you're staying with her, etc., right? But to unlock a deeper level is to go, hey, we don't care about some of these surface level things. There's something deeper that makes us vibe, that makes us connect. And in the business sense, it's like, hey, we have such a deeper respect for each other, and we are like listening to each other's ideas and thoughts, and we're creatively formulating things. We're not just taking your past resume or your job title or like the fact that you're more skilled and experienced and just like you put your stamp on it and we go, yeah, that's, this is it. So you're like challenging people, you're like putting like more, like if it's like a string, you're putting more strain on that relationship, and then you're putting more strain, and as a result you're growing. So what happens is that we get these obstacles and we just go, okay, well, like we should just stop right here, or this is good. I'm gonna just, I'm just gonna like escape. I'm just gonna like leave the relationship. I'm just gonna like hit that escape button and get out of here, right? But the thing is, like, it's paradoxical because, and I think that's kind of like the duality of the universe, like where there's things that are like, for example, that can be good and that can be bad. So let's say, for example, like in this context right here, right? Like if you people tell you like if you're in a bad situation, just leave. But if you just keep leaving all the time and you're not working to build anything with anyone, you're not really gonna get anywhere. You're just gonna be like with like a bunch of people. There is gonna be like little surface level interactions. Do this, do that, like little project, little things, and like you accomplish like a little bit. And then on the other hand, like if you go too deep with the wrong person, you could be like lost, right? You could be like, well, where am I going? I just wasted all this time working with this person, and we got like nothing done. Or I could have had something better. So it's like exploration versus like exploitation. Like you can either put a lot of resources into like little things and like just go like this, or you can just go like into one, but then you could be headed in the wrong direction, right? But it's my firm belief that like some of this stuff is just kind of controlled by the universe, but it's my firm belief that like a lot of times we just like press the escape button too early because in society we're just like told like, well, if you don't like something, just get out of there, right? You don't like the place, you don't like the job, just leave. And this just tells us like subconsciously that like it's a little bit of a crutch. It just tells us that like, hey, don't try too hard, don't try to make things work, don't try to like figure things out, and don't try to like look at higher level challenges behind something, right? And maybe but you know, but the thing is that in that process you get to learn a lot about yourself. And here's like the kick, here's like the big kicker. um when you do persist and you stay through it and then you get to the other side of the hump, and I feel like that's where with people, with jobs, with projects and everything, there's this hump that like where you just have to like persevere, and like really there has to be like a really good reason that you like leave. As long as things are mostly going well, you should stick with that person, with that business, with that project, etc., because that hump is what most people can't get over. So the advice that's given is like as soon as you see that uphill climb, that hump, that difficulty, just like leave. But here's the thing though, like the secret, like the rewards and stuff like that, and like the best things to come in life rely, that like these are the things that actually reside on the other side of the hump. Because most people can't get to it, it explains why like most people aren't like successful, or most people don't have good relationships because they just got as soon as they saw that they were like, can't do it, get out of here, or something's wrong with that person, get out of there. But if you do make it work, if you do go through the like the difficult challenges, like all the different hardships, and you get through that, you get to the special place where you become a different person, and on top of that you unlock, I think, like the real kind of secrets that the universe has to offer. And I want to connect that with this little thing that I put into Chat GPT, because I thought that I really want to connect this to like how nature is, because I was like, there must be something in nature. I feel like the greatest source of inspiration and the greatest source of like connections that I make is like with stuff in the universe, because the universe has had like millions and millions of iterations, and the whole process of evolution has just made the universe like figure out strategies. Basically these are like meta level strategies, right? um of like it is just basically come up like the universe has basically just brought out the best strategies in, like, for example, plants, humans, animals, etc., like all living things. Because at the end of the day we're just fighting this, we're constantly fighting this war with bacterias, with things trying to kill us, with even with other people. We have like social level like conflicts and stuff, but we come up with strategies that basically work in this type of environment. And I think we can just copy that literally from the universe, or any sorry, from like the real world and from nature, and we can just connect that, and we can go, okay, this idea makes sense to some degree there. So that's how I like to connect ideas. I like to connect them with like different domains, and see if they hold true in that domain, or how many other domains I can find where I can connect these. So here's what I found. I realized that like seeds and like real nutrients, if you think about it in terms of like, like the food that we consume, like the real stuff just actually lies inside of like seeds. Because why is that? Because like if you think about it, like seeds can literally spawn off new plants, and it makes sense that like in like the physical world, like in nature, that nature would store a lot of this stuff, for example, like the highest amount of nutrients that are needed. Because when you think about it, a baby needs a lot of nutrients, like critical nutrients and a lot of nutrients. So like the same thing with like a baby plant, it needs like a lot of energy, a lot of nutrients, and a lot of the critical things to basically kick off its life. And it makes sense that that they reside into the seed itself. It makes sense why we eat a lot of these seeds as well. So I asked ChatGPT, is it true that most seeds and like real nutrients are hidden behind like layers of protection? Basically shells, right? Shells and like hard stuff that you gotta crack through in order to get to it. That's the same thing with people, with business, with like projects and stuff. Like the hard stuff is like the shell, like all the stuff that you just hit and you're like, man, this stuff is like hard. I gotta get out of here. I can't do this. And it turns out, yeah, it says that is correct. Most seeds are naturally designed with protective layers to shield them from environmental threats like harsh weather, pests, and diseases. These layers ensure that the seeds can survive until conditions are right for germination. That's the other thing with people, if you think about it. People shield themselves and they protect themselves. No one wants to give the best of them. Like they don't want to give out the best effort, the best. They don't want to be the most passionate. They don't want to be the most vulnerable. With everyone, it makes sense because until the conditions are right, why would you? And with these protective castings, the seeds often contain essential nutrients needed for early growth of plants, which is what I said, including carbs, proteins, fats, vitamins, and minerals. The nutrient-rich content serves as initial food source for the seeding until it can grow leaves and then begin, well, like until like the plant can begin photosynthesis. And the design of seeds is a perfect example of nature's way of safeguarding its own continuity and resilience. So until the conditions are met and everything is right, it makes sense why things don't unlock. And that applies to, I feel like, in my life as well. Until I was the right person, until I was like I had the right mindset, I had the right work ethic, it made sense why results wouldn't unlock. With other people, with like businesses, with projects, maybe it's like with dating, etc. Until that happened, I just wasn't worthy of it. So that's another way to like look at it. And when I did become worthy of it, things just unlocked, and I naturally found myself like taking all these challenges and all these setbacks and all the hard things that came my way, and I was like, well, let's just continue, let's just fight through it, let's just work with this person. I disagree with them, or I feel like certain things are on the surface level are not 100%, but who cares? But that deep inside, I think there's like bigger things to be found. There's like bigger treasures. There's bigger rewards, better relationships, better energies, like working together. And that's what ended up happening in my life. So let me know what you guys think.